Hey, Will here, back with another Ava Technologies podcast. Today, we spoke about a range of things from the ICP, Internet Computer Protocol grant to build AI technology on their decentralized blockchain. We also spoke about DeepSeek sort of releasing a new model, but really just a partial update with DeepSeek version 3.1. We're all wondering where version 4 is. We then went and covered off a more novelty story, which is the AI Olympic Games in Beijing in China, which wrapped up on Sunday. 280 teams across 16 countries entering robots to compete in these games. Very interesting. I don't know if it's dystopian or not. And the last story we spoke about was a slightly more serious, but it's AI within the medical space and how it's designing new antibiotics to fight off diseases. A very interesting part of the AI world. I make a podcast like this every single morning with my co-founder Ben at Ava Technologies. We create a startup called Ava Mind, and part of it is discussing the world of AI. It's the way we're trying to spread the word for the product, but also because we're passionate about the space and love talking about it, and we do it every morning. So the podcast is coming right after this intro, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Hey everybody, welcome back to our show where we talk about what's happening in the AI space and all the latest news and gossip, and we just give you our reaction. We try and find the latest news that we can and bring it to you as we see it. We work in the space with Ava Technologies where we're building products for customers, but also we have our own product called Ava Mind, which is a AI therapeutic assistant. So feel free to check it out on the App Store. You can download it for free. You can even download it and use it without even creating an account, because we want to try and make it as accessible to everybody. So the reason for the show is really just to a couple of reasons, really. To one, make sure we're on top of all the latest news and see what's happening in the space, and we literally jump on this every Monday to Friday, and really react and share what we're seeing, and really just a way for us to obviously talk about a little bit about what we're doing as well. So hopefully we can bring value to you guys. And again, as we build up the community, the audience, it'd be great to get some more sort of community questions and feedback and interactions. I think that'd be really fun. But like all these things, they all start from small acorns. So Will, we've got to just build slowly, mate, haven't we?
Absolutely, you know it. Nothing good ever came quickly.
Unfortunately not. Why isn't that the case? I really wish it was.
No, we're going for quality. We're going for quality, and that takes time to build.
So one rule that we are trying to adhere to, which doesn't always work, in each news segment, we limit ourselves to 5 minutes. So we're on the clock and we try and rattle through it. Now, when there's obviously not much news to talk about, that means the podcast might be relatively short. So, but you know, it is what it is. And today we've got a few news stories, haven't we, Will? So I'm just getting ourselves sorted for the clock. So we've got the timer going, and we can rattle through it. So we've got a few stories we're going to go through. What's the first one do we want to talk about?
This is the one I've got selected. This is the last one that we spoke about. We added to the old docket. It's the $5 million token grant for fueling decentralized AI growth, put out by the ICP, which obviously you all know a lot about, being an advocate for the decentralized space. But very quickly, I'll just give a summary and then I'll pass over to you, Ben, because I know, again, this is very much your ballpark of things. But this is an interesting thing put out by the Internet Computer Protocol, which is a decentralized blockchain. They sort of decentralize compute, which I think is perfect for the AI world. This is where AI is really sort of overlapping with other technologies, other fringe technologies like the blockchain space. And basically they've put out a big grant program where developers, businesses, whatever projects can come and get grants to build on top of the Internet Computer Protocol. And this, I think, is a really good thing. It's an amazing initiative to fuel, the development of, artificial intelligence, and any just development on the blockchain is to offer grants to build quality products. And this solves a wider problem, I think, which is something we often speak about, is how expensive AI models are to run and the compute that is required to run them. You have a couple of solutions to this in the tech world. We just make the models more efficient so that they run smaller. You can lower the cost of compute so that you can, scale up for cheaper. Or you look at something like decentralization, where you can distribute that compute across the world on a different type of infrastructure, which is generally cheaper to run. So that's the long and short of this article. It'd be great to hear your thoughts, Ben, as a much bigger. Obviously, I like the blockchain space, but you're a massive advocate for it. So it'll be great to get your thoughts.
Yeah. So thanks, Will. In all honesty, I know about the internet computer on a superficial level. I know they're trying to be the computer of the world for the world, if that makes sense. But I think it goes back to the premise of it. This is again a great way to incentivize builders to hopefully build great things and products. And obviously this is down that decentralized route, and trying to eliminate the reliance on centralized cloud providers like Amazon Web Services and things like that. So it's I think it's again just making people aware that, you know, if people are building or thinking about building in the AI space, there are these alternative, you know, opportunities to help fund your projects. So, you know, if I'm sure a lot of the, you know, if you're a techie, you know, you're going to be fully aware of the crypto and the blockchain space and all the opportunities. So this is again just another one. And indeed, you know, there are lots of other crypto projects that have funding opportunities for, you know, good ideas. Which is great, and it really does almost democratize and make it, you know, easier to hopefully get projects funded and started. I think one thing to bear in mind that this 5 million grant is going to be sort of broken into smaller chunks for you know, for teams. So I believe the largest chunk, I might be wrong, would be £100,000 or $100,000. Maybe more. But there'll probably have to be, you know, teams that have a bit of sort of track record of working with ICP and building things within that ecosystem. So
yeah, correct.
I think it probably ranges from like 5,000 to 100,000. So again, for, you know, again, it's something which enables you to build, you know, start that process and build credibility within the community. And again, that's a big thing to be aware of within the crypto space. It's very much about sort of community type projects. You know, you're working within that protocol, and that protocol has a community, and that, you know, that community is incentivized to help grow its own community. So you're working, I guess, less independently to a certain extent. But again, you know, technology can be built across different protocols, different blockchains, and interoperable. So again, that's something that's becoming much more prevalent and important. I think we'll see a future where, you know, crypto and blockchain isn't siloed on each other's islands and everyone's sort of competing solo, but there'll be much more, you know, interoperability and connection. And indeed, you know, Cardano, they're a big one for that at the moment. They're building out lots of interesting projects, which we've just hit our timer. So yeah, so I was just going to quickly say the Midnight token within the Cardano blockchain is something that's looking very promising. They've just done their airdrop and building a lot of connections across the whole crypto space. So sort of reaching out further than just the Cardano network. But no, this is just really interesting, isn't it, Will? And I know we're sort of going over 5 minutes, but we've talked a lot about the micro models and on-device models, and this is, you know, like
this is an alternative. Yes, this is an alternative solution to keep running massive models. You know, right now in a distributed way that's much cheaper. I mean, you do see some projects like Shoots, which is a big one that's come out now, which is running AI models at a very, very cheap price. The large ones as well, very, very competitive. So it's a proven infrastructure, or it's proving itself. It is very early days. This is the only potential thing to be wary of, I think, especially as a developer, is that you're building frontier technology on frontier technology. These things are very likely to change and very likely to break. And, you know, it's a really exciting prospect. So far, some very interesting things coming out in terms of this particular article and this particular bit of news. Again, like where the crypto and blockchain space is going. It's getting more serious, offering money for really useful projects, to encourage the technology to go, where it's capable of going. We're getting out of that sort of meme coin era, hopefully.
Well, I think that era will always exist. I think there's that side of people that will never extinguish, where they just like to flutter and gamble and just
what I hope is that people will know blockchain not for that side of things, but for the technology that's coming out now and how it's being used to improve things.
Yeah, well, I think that's going to happen, isn't it? As more and more real world use cases and starts evolving, and the technology matures. Just quickly, so Shoots, correct me if I'm wrong, that was on the Bitenson network, isn't it?
Yes, I think so. I'm quite familiar with Shoots, but not where it's not where it's not what it's built on.
So I believe, again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but they're one of the subnets. So it's a bit of a different framework that tends to have with lots of different AI companies effectively have been created as subnets, and it's all feeds into the ecosystem.
Same kind of opportunity. Same kind of opportunity, isn't it? Exactly. 100%. They're offering grants. They're offering good rewards to build viable AI projects and companies on top of their infrastructure. And Shoots is proving very successful at the moment. It's very competitive.
I know we're doing 5 minutes and we've gone way over, but I think this is worth just sort of going down the rabbit hole a little bit, because you mentioned something, how it's really builders are building frontier technology on frontier technology, and there are those risks. We've talked about that for Ava Mind, and how are we approaching it in terms of our thought process? Because that might be worth sharing with the audience.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, we approach it with the caution that I think that it's needed when you're building frontier stuff on frontier stuff. That's not to say that we shouldn't explore it and build options for it. What we are specifically doing is building layers of fallback to it. So we have a solution on the blockchain that could work, but if it needs to be, because again, this is the thing with these kind of projects, is they're still settling and stabilizing, and if something was to happen to Shoots, you need to be able to fall back, and that's something we're doing. We have fallback options to more traditional methods of hosting these models as well, and then of course we're pushing our sort of local models as well. So we're sort of attacking it from all angles, because at the moment we don't know where it's going to go. We don't know if these models are going to get small enough that we can forget having to host it on any sort of cloud provider, whether that be decentralized or centralized. But we don't know if something like Shoots will actually be a very, very viable infrastructure to go on with. At the moment, that's proving to be really good. So I think it's just about covering all bases, having fingers in all pies, which I don't know if was what people would say is good advice, but it means that we can remain agile and we can switch between.
Yeah, and we still think potentially the on-device models is the future, because with all these things, it does still if you're going to have AI in remote locations, or you're traveling to the moon or traveling to Mars, there's going to be latency. So there's those sort of challenges, and for ultimate privacy, I think we still feel on-device is the way forward. But again, I think as news and as information becomes more relevant, and as the world evolves, because this is such a fast-moving space, we just have to be adaptable.
I think my bet is that there's a place for all of it. I think for the consumer grade stuff that you and I would use, or the regular person would use, will sit on device within a few years. We'll be able to use these models on device, and it'll be absolutely no problem. Again, that solves a solution for things like space, or where you need low latency, or just no internet connection at all. That will be there. However, what will happen, a bit like, I don't know if you've heard of a couple of space programs where they go and listen for extraterrestrial life, and they scan for things like gravitational waves. There's a lot of projects where they decentralize that, not in the sense of blockchain, but there is multiple distributed stations around the world all teaming up and linking together to power this mission. It's not what one station couldn't do it. And this, I think, will be the same thing with AI. The same sort of analogy is that we will keep making massive, more intelligent, super intelligent models that will require massive compute. It won't be anything that you or I will ever use. A bit like the supercomputers of the world today. They're not even in the realm of what we'd ever use or even pretend to know how they function. But they serve very specific purposes to do massive calculations, do research, process data. It'll be the same thing with AI. I think you'll have massive super intelligences for pushing research, and these will require that compute. And it's quite possible that compute will need to be decentralized, because you simply cannot build a data center big enough to house all the computers required. So I think there's a place for it in both worlds. Right now, you require that compute to run all the models. So I think it depends on how that research goes. We'll see which one wins for consumer technology, at least.
Interesting, brilliant. Right, let's move on to the next story, Will, because we strictly break our rule on the first one, which was not a good start. But what's the next story?
This is a slightly shorter one, and to be fair, this webpage I'm about to show you is really dull, and I'll quickly just share you the backstory anyway. I mean, it's a Hugging Face page. Hugging Face is, if you don't know, a place where people, model providers, can post their models. They also have infrastructural setups where you can run models with them. It's basically a hub for AI, LLMs, all models. It's a cool place. Anyway, the story is, as you'll see in the top corner here, DeepSeek. Do you remember DeepSeek, Ben?
Yeah.
Well, they have been very, very quiet, because they, I think even last year now, way last year, released their DeepSeek V3 and their DeepSeek R1. And these took the world by storm. I don't even remember when they came out. They were very, very good. They were pushing the benchmarks of all sort of the world's frontier models at the time. And it sort of shocked America, because they did it in a fraction of the cost. I can't remember, but it was literally in the 6 figures instead of the 7 figures that sort of was expected for models of these capabilities. So they came out and released their models. They did very well. They are still used today. However, they are lagging slightly behind. But since then, it's been quiet. You haven't heard anything. They're one of the only model providers that haven't really come out with anything new. And they did yesterday, under a cloud of, as you can see, these Hugging Face pages can get quite detailed. They have release notes. They have benchmarks on there. They have a lot of different stuff that you can read about. But as you can see, they released their 3.1 model, which is not the one that everyone was hoping for DeepSeek version 4 to come and compete with the frontier models of this year. But they haven't done that. They've just released a 3.1 model, which is, interesting. But yeah, it's in this world, in the AI world, we're kind of wondering where DeepSeek have gone. I mean, this is not what everybody wanted or were expecting. And they have to move quickly, because since then, there's a ton of AI companies coming out of China that are building very competitive models and are continuing to release them, whilst DeepSeek are doing nothing. That's basically the long and the short of the story. Obviously, what are your thoughts? But, it's quite a simple story, really.
Yeah, no, I haven't really got any thoughts, to be honest with you. That's fine. It is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's made me a controversial thing to say, but I have a bit of a thing for these Chinese models, because more often than not, they're coming out as open source, which I love, open weight models. And, they tend to be very competitive in price to run and to pay for APIs with, and very, very good. So, I just, like a lot of people in the AI world, are looking forward to DeepSeek releasing something else, because they made such a massive impact with their first release. So I think maybe that's also why they're not rushing to release version 4, is because they, once it's a bit like a band that releases a hit single and it's their first ever single. They suddenly have this world to live up to, and there's a lot of pressure, and often it doesn't live up to it. Which is why you have these one hit wonders. That you think that's the peak, but it's you don't think that's the peak, but it is. So I'm excited to see what else they've got, but 3.1 is not very promising.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, let's move on to the next one. We've actually under time, so that's good.
There we go. We're compensating.
We're compensating.
we're on to a bit of fun here before we get something more serious at the end.
We're doing the robots.
We'll do the robots.
Okay, let's do the robots.
We spoke about China. We spoke about China yesterday again with their sort of them pushing the boundaries within the autonomous car world as well. And now here they are hosting football games with robots. I'm pretty sure it's horrific. I think there was a lot of falling over and it not working very well. But I mean, I can't decide personally whether this is incredibly dystopian or incredibly amazing. So this was a 3-day event in Beijing that literally ended on Sunday, just gone, and it had 280 teams from across 16 countries.
Yeah,
entering their robots into these games here, where they can do obstacle courses and things like that. And I genuinely, I think that's amazing, but also it feels really. I mean, you see this image here of the video, and you think, what a world we're coming to. Are we going to be watching robots play sports? I hope not.
I think it's interesting because I think it's for me. I think it's more of just a way for the robotic engineers to test, refine, push themselves against other companies and teams and countries as a bit of fun. And I think it's going to be really, really interesting when we look back at these videos and these stories. And maybe some of you will go and watch some of these events in person, see it live, or maybe some of you work in the space. That'd be fascinating to sort of hear and learn from you. But I think it's gonna be hilarious when we look back and we'll just see the advancement. And we do this all the time, don't we? Yesterday I was looking at pictures of the first mobile phones because we happened to be talking about it. And it's hilarious. You look at the 80s with these massive bricks that people, 1 in every 1,000 people would have a phone that they couldn't. There was no one to call because there was only a handful of people who had these phones. It's just brilliant looking at that. So I think this is going to be one of those archived moments that we can look back in awe and just go, wow, wasn't it incredible how it used to be? But I think the article does mention about even 5 years ago, a humanoid robot wouldn't reliably walk, let alone run, for example, or jump, or all the rest of it. So I think just in 5 years they've obviously advanced massively, and then you think, well, technology is only accelerating. So it's going to be really fascinating. I think it's fun. I think it's interesting, and
it is. Yeah, it is novelty. It is fun. A little bit dystopian, but fun.
Very dystopian.
I think the people that are worried about robots taking their jobs, I wouldn't stress too much. I mean, I've enjoyed reading what happened, because I know you said it. Robots 5 years ago had to struggle to walk properly. They still do. I mean, they've made progress, but you're reading things here like, during soccer matches, child-sized ones tripped over each other, falling down like dominoes. One goalkeeper robot stood placidly as the opponent kicked his ball between its legs several times before finally managing to score. One robot plowed into human staff member while sprinting during a track event, knocking him down. In the kickboxing matches, robots wearing colourful gloves struggled to land punches. It's to be honest, the hit rate is a little low, is what one of the commentators said. I think at this stage, it's definitely more novelty and funny than it is dystopian, but it shows the world where we're going. I mean, that's 280 teams across 16 countries is no joke. There's a lot of people working on robotics, and it'll be very interesting to see where this technology goes. Everyone thought robots would come first, which is funny. It's a funny thought because actually it's a massive challenge. What we are able to do as humans, we don't even understand how we work. So it's natural that sort of these like LLMs have taken over first, I think. But yeah, it's going to be I think the current technology where we have with generative AI coupled with this sort of real world physical robotics, I think it's going to be wild to think about.
No, absolutely. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, well, let's move on to the next story. I think we're about there on the timer.
100%.
Just lost my timer. Here we go. What's going on there? Right, next story, Will. What have we got?
Cool. we're gonna end on something serious, but also I think a very interesting thing in the AI world. Something that we went to an event recently, and I'll reference that in a minute. So this is about AI designing antibiotics for gonorrhea and MRSA. But I think the wider story is that AI being used in the healthcare space. And recently we went to an event, Ben and I, and we were on stage answering questions and talking a little bit about what we do and our thoughts on AI. And one of the questions posed to us was, what do we think is one of the most exciting developments in the AI world, or the biggest potential? And obviously there's many answers to this, but I think one of my personal ones, which I think it has huge potential, is AI within the healthcare space, using it to accelerate data analysis. There's amazing technology going in even at the NHS, which is helping to spot skin cancers before they become a thing. We now have AI finding different proteins, in huge data sets, which have taken, human engineers a long time to do, or human scientists a long time to do. And here we are now designing antibiotics for different diseases. And I think this is a huge use case. And at the moment, it's essentially it's sifting through huge amounts of data and processing huge amounts of data. But I think as these models get better, one of the big breakthroughs that big frontier labs are pushing for is breakthroughs where AI invents something. They discover some new science, some new technology, something that we didn't know. That's what we're waiting for as a big breakthrough. And I think for the medical space, that would be absolutely massive. Can you imagine, AI is running in parallel to discover cancer treatments, inventing cancer treatments. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Basically, this is what this article is about. It's specifically referencing antibiotics for gonorrhea and MRSA, but I think it's a wider, very interesting field as well. So we had a bit of a technical hiccup there. Ben lost audio, but we restarted the recording, quickly reviewed it, and nothing was lost. Basically, I was talking about this article and the potential for AI within the medical space being a very exciting one. And I was about to go, Ben, what are your thoughts?
And Ben couldn't hear anything.
So and then Ben couldn't hear anything, so
I don't
know. So yeah, it's a very interesting space. I think it's when we were asked this at an event, I think it was one of the biggest things that came to my mind was the use of AI and its medical applications for discovering new knowledge and helping treat people. So I think that for me, this is very exciting. Obviously, this article just speaks about antibiotic design for specific diseases, but I think obviously it has a much wider application across all fields of medicine.
Yeah, no, and I think this is again just a really good example of the positive uses of AI.
100%.
So it's fantastic to see these sort of use cases, and it's not just about efficiency or doom and gloom and people losing their jobs and we're going to live in a dystopian future and all the rest of it. There's going to be a lot of great outcomes that come out of AI. So I think this is just an example of one. And of course, it isn't perfect. It speeds up a part of their process of research. There's still going to be a long testing phase to make sure it's suitable for humans and all the rest of it, and safe and what have you. So it speeds up the process, and it doesn't solve all the problems, but it is really exciting to see how it's going to sort of influence medicine and human health. So that's going to be really interesting, I think, as it evolves, and as these professors and doctors start experimenting and doing more research and discovering what they can do and what they can't do. And it's just again another really interesting space and to be in sense of AI meeting real world use cases and helping. So yeah, I think it's fantastic.
I think that's brilliant. That is the last article that we had on the docket to talk about. So if you're happy, we can call it a wrap here. Annoying that our recording went wrong. Literally about 5 minutes left. But it's the way sometimes.
Absolutely. Joys of technology. It isn't perfect. Don't rely 100% on it. Just as though you shouldn't rely 100% on any AI answer or output.
That was a very smooth transition back to AI there. That was great. I think that's good.
Let's wrap it up. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Yeah, join us tomorrow. We're going to be back on it, and we'll share with you the latest news tomorrow and give you our thoughts. So yeah, great to have you with us. Take care, and we'll catch up with you soon. Bye for now.
Catch you soon. Bye.